It's the eyes. We don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. It's like the demonic around us. The program, how it's supposed to go, is forcing us to do whatever, say whatever out of our mouth. We don't eat on time, nigga. They starve us, make sure we're hungry, angry. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about this country. Y'all can sue me. Y'all can delete my Instagram. Every female on that show, including Natalie, is scared to speak up. And then Natalie is cool because she compensated for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because whatever you thought you knew about Chrisean Rock just got flipped, shaken, and launched straight into orbit. This isn't a rumor. This isn't a whisper. This is one of those moments where the curtain gets yanked back so hard it snaps the rod clean off the wall. Jason Lee and Natalie Nunn didn't just spill tea. They kicked over the entire table, smashed the cups, and said, "Let it flood." Suddenly, the chaos we see on camera looks cute compared to what's allegedly happening when the lights go off and the mics stop rolling. And trust me, this makes the Kardashians look like they're running a Montessori school. Because when two industry insiders who thrive on mess start nodding at each other like, yeah, it was worse than people know, you already know something. Wild slip through the cracks. This isn't just another Chrisean headline. This feels like a sealed envelope getting ripped open. The kind of leak that makes publicists sweat. Executives reach for their phones, and fans ask, wait, why? Didn't we hear this before? So if you thought the drama was already maxed out, think again. Because according to what's being revealed now, we've only been watching the edited version, and the uncut story, oh, it's messy, unhinged, and absolutely impossible to look away from. It always starts the same way, a smile for the cameras. A headline-ready meltdown, a clip that goes viral just long enough to distract everyone from what's really happening off-screen. And for a long time, Chrisean Rock mastered that balance. The public chaos felt loud, but it felt controlled, like reality TV with the volume cranked up, but the structure still intact. Except according to what's now being whispered by Jason Lee and Natalie Nunn, that illusion may have been doing a lot more heavy lifting than anyone realized. Because the story being hinted at now isn't about a bad day on set or a dramatic argument caught bad. Ween takes. It's about a pattern, a tension that allegedly kept escalating while producers pretended everything was just passionate personalities clashing. The kind of situation where people stop asking, is this good TV? And start asking, is this safe? And when industry veterans start asking that question, you know something went sideways. Jason Lee didn't raise his voice. He didn't throw accusations. He did something far more unsettling. He slowed down. He chose his words. Like someone navigating a minefield with a blindfold on. That alone sent alarm bells ringing because Jason is not new to controversy. He's reported on public scandals, private implosions, and career-ending moments without flinching. So when he suddenly shifts into careful mode, it suggests there are details he's deliberately not saying out loud, the kind of details that don't disappear just because they're left off camera. And then Natalie Nunn added gasoline to the conversation without even lighting the match. Her reactions weren't shocked, they were knowing. As if she'd already seen the footage, heard the stories, and lived through the aftermath. Natalie didn't sound surprised, she sounded validated, and that's the part people can't ignore. Because Natalie's entire career has been built inside chaotic environments. If she's implying that this situation crossed a line, that line must have been somewhere far beyond normal reality TV madness. What's being implied is that the tension wasn't just interpersonal. It was structural. Allegedly, entire filming schedules were thrown off because no one knew what version of Chrisean would show up. Calm Chrisean, explosive Chrisean, silent but seething Chrisean. And when unpredictability becomes the main character, production stops being entertainment and starts becoming crisis management behind closed doors, according to these emerging accounts. Conversations were happening that viewers were never meant to hear. Discussions about liability, about boundaries, about whether certain moments should even be aired at all. Because once footage exists, it stops being drama and starts becoming evidence. And that's when executives allegedly began sweating, not because of ratings, but because of consequences. The leak didn't arrive all at once. It came in fragments, side comments, half sentences, long pauses that said more than words ever could. Jason Lee's tone alone felt like a warning shot, not aimed at Chrisean necessarily, but at the audience. Like he was saying, you'll think you've seen the worst. You haven't even been shown the raw files. And that's where the first cracks started forming in the narrative fans had accepted for years. The idea that Chrisean was just misunderstood, that she was reacting to pressure, that the chaos was mutual. Because now the implication is that while everyone else was reacting, Chrisean may have been driving the storm. Natalie's involvement makes this even messier. She's not just a commentator. She's someone who understands how networks operate. When things go wrong, she knows when damage control starts quietly, long before the public ever hears about it. And her comments hinted that there were moments where the production's priorities shifted from storytelling to containment. That's not a good sign for anyone involved. What's especially wild is how long this allegedly stayed buried. Think about it in an era where everything leaks instantly, where assistants spill secrets on burner accounts and production assistants go live on TikTok. This chaos somehow stayed locked behind NDA letters and nervous smiles. That alone suggests there were powerful incentives to keep mouths shut, or powerful fears about what would happen if they didn't. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because if the behind-the-scenes chaos was really that intense, it forces a question no one wants to ask out loud. Who benefited from keeping it hidden? Was it to protect Chrisean's image? Or was it to protect the machine that profits from her chaos? Because reality TV doesn't just film instability, it monetizes it. And sometimes the line between documenting dysfunction and exploiting it gets real blurry. Jason Lee's involvement shifts this from gossip to something more serious. He's not a random blogger chasing clicks. He's someone who understands legal limits, reputational fallout, and the weight of what not saying something can imply. His hesitation felt intentional, like he was opening a door just enough for people to see there's something ugly inside without stepping fully into the room himself. And that's what has fans spiraling right now. Because the silence between the words is louder than the words themselves. When insiders stop denying and start deflecting, it usually means the story is already too big to erase. It just hasn't been fully told yet. What we're left with is a picture that doesn't match the highlight reels, a situation where the chaos wasn't just content, it was collateral. Where people around Chrisean were allegedly bracing for impact instead of planning storylines, and where the phrase behind the scenes stops meaning unseen moments and starts meaning hidden damage. The reactions were immediate. Social media did what it always does, picked sides, rewrote history, and started digging up old clips with fresh suspicion. Suddenly, moments that once felt funny now feel tense. Jokes feel sharper, arguments feel darker, and fans are asking whether they were laughing at something they shouldn't have been laughing at all. And the scariest part, this still feels like the surface, because if Jason Lee and Natalie Nunn are only hinting right now, it means there's more that hasn't been said, more details sitting just out of frame. More stories waiting for the right moment to slip through the cracks, because scandals don't start when the public finds out. They start when insiders stop pretending everything is fine. And judging by the way this conversation unfolded, that pretending phase may officially be over. Once the hints were out, there was no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. Social media did what it always does when it smells blood in the water. It turned into a digital crime lab overnight. Old clips resurfaced. Interviews that once felt harmless suddenly looked loaded. Side eyes that nobody clocked before were now being paused, zoomed, and analyzed like Zapruder footage. And suddenly, the question wasn't, is Chrisean messy? The question became, how much did we not see? The internet doesn't wait for confirmation, it builds theories at warp speed. Memes started flying within hours, but these weren't the funny kind. These were the laughing because it's uncomfortable memes, screenshots of Natalie Nunn's facial expressions, clips of Jason Lee going quiet mid-thought, captions like, "When you know the truth but the NDA is screaming." And once the tone takes over, the narrative stops being playful and starts being ominous. Celebrity reactions only made it worse. Not because anyone directly named Chrisean, but because people who normally stay silent suddenly had opinions about toxic work environments and checked behavior. And networks choosing ratings over responsibility. Funny how no? One said her name, yet everyone knew exactly who the conversation was orbiting around. It was like watching a group chat leak one big quote at a time. Then came the comparisons. And this is where things went nuclear. People weren't comparing this to standard reality TV drama anymore. They were comparing it to full-blown industry cautionary tales, the kind where everyone says, "How did nobody stop this sooner?" Fans started throwing out names like they were assembling a Mount Rushmore of chaos, and the consensus. This situation allegedly made past reality TV scandals look like dress rehearsals. What really poured fuel on the fire was the shift in tone from entertaining chaos to dangerous instability. Viewers who once defended Chrisean as misunderstood started hesitating. Because there's a difference between being reactive and being volatile. And according to the way insiders were now speaking, the concern wasn't about hurt feelings. It was about unpredictable outcomes. Natalie Nunn's body language alone became a talking point. Every pause, every nod, every half smile that screamed, "I've seen worse than I'm allowed to say." People noticed she wasn't joking. She wasn't exaggerating. She looked like someone who survived a storm and was watching others finally notice the wreckage. Jason Lee's restraint became its own headline. Fans weren't asking what he said anymore. They were asking what he refused to say. Because in celebrity media, silence is never empty. Silence is loaded. Silence means lawyers are involved. Silence means there's a version of the story that would absolutely detonate if spoken out loud. And then the memes turned savage. TikTok creators started reenacting behind-the-scenes meetings with exaggerated panic. Fake skits of producers whispering, "Cut the cameras." No, seriously. Cut everything sounds funny until you realize satire usually grows from truth. The jokes weren't landing because they were clever. They were landing because they felt plausible. What's wild is how quickly public sympathy began to fracture. Some fans doubled down, insisting Chrisean was being singled out, misunderstood, or scapegoated. Others flipped completely, accusing networks of enabling behavior they would never tolerate from anyone without star power. And that's when the conversation stopped being about one person and started being about the entire system that profits from chaos. Because let's be honest, reality TV doesn't just stumble into dysfunction. It curates it. It encourages it. It pokes it with a stick and then acts shocked when it bites back. And now, people are asking whether Chrisean was pushed, protected, or both. Whether the environment created the explosion or simply filmed it in high definition and sold ads. Around it. Pop culture comparisons started getting ruthless. People joked that this made love and hip-hop look like a corporate retreat. That Real Housewives feuds suddenly felt like HR-approved disagreements. Someone even said this situation made scripted TV look more honest, because at least writers admit when things are fake. And here's where it escalated again. Rumors began circulating that certain footage would never see the light of day, not because it wasn't dramatic enough, but because it crossed a line, allegedly. Moments existed that shifted the energy from entertainment to something deeply uncomfortable, moments that would raise questions no network wants to answer publicly. The outrage wasn't just online anymore. Commentators started questioning responsibility. Who intervenes when reality stops being fun? Who decides when a storyline becomes a liability? And why does that decision always seem to happen after the damage is done? Fans noticed something else. 2. Certain people connected to the situation went quiet at the same time. No posting, no defending, no vague inspirational quotes, just silence. And in internet culture, silence isn't neutral. It's suspicious. It's strategic. It's usually the calm before a carefully worded statement or a sudden pivot away from the spotlight. At this point, the scandal had grown legs. It wasn't about one leak anymore. It was about credibility, about trust, about whether viewers were complicit in consuming chaos without questioning the cost. Because once you realize you might have been watching something harmful packaged as entertainment, it changes how you see everything. And yet, despite all of this, there was still no full denial. No definitive shutdown. No one came forward to say this is all false. Instead, there were soft deflections, carefully phrased responses, the kind that don't clear names but also don't invite deeper digging, which, of course, only invited more digging. Because when a scandal reaches this stage, it doesn't fade quietly. It mutates. It grows. It drags more people into the orbit, whether they want to be involved or not. And the scariest part is that this still doesn't feel like the climax. When the dust starts to settle, that's when the real damage becomes visible. Not during the yelling, not during the viral clips, not during the meme storms. It's in the quiet recalculations that happen behind closed doors, where reputations are weighed like assets and liabilities. And relationships are reviewed the way corporations review failing departments, and this is where the alleged chaos surrounding Chrisean Rock stops being entertainment and starts being expensive. Because once insiders hint that something crossed a line, the industry doesn't panic publicly. It retreats. Phones stop ringing, invitations dry up. Conversations that used to start with excitement now begin with hesitation, and whether anyone says it out loud or not. The question becomes unavoidable. Is this person worth the risk? For Chrisean, that question hangs heavy, not because of one incident, but because of accumulation. Patterns matter in this business. Executives can excuse one meltdown, they can spin two. But when chaos becomes predictable, predictability itself becomes the problem. According to the tone of what Jason Lee and Natalie Nunn suggested, the concern wasn't about drama anymore, it was about control. And once people feel they've lost that, they stop investing emotionally and financially. Relationships take the first hit. People who once defended Chrisean fiercely began creating distance, not with public callouts, but with absence, fewer collaborations, less public alignment, subtle unfollows that spoke louder than statements ever could. Because in celebrity culture, loyalty often has an expiration date and controversy speeds up the countdown. Public perception shifted in a way that can't be undone easily. The narrative moved from troubled but talented to unpredictable and unchecked. That's a dangerous pivot because sympathy fuels longevity, but fear shortens careers. Once audiences start feeling uneasy instead of entertained, the entire dynamic changes. What once felt like must-see TV starts feeling like something you shouldn't be watching anymore. And then there's the network side of things. Allegedly, decisions were made quietly, edits became tighter, storylines got reframed. Certain moments were minimized or removed entirely, not because they weren't dramatic, but because they were too revealing. When a network starts protecting itself instead of promoting a star, that's when the power dynamic flips. What's especially telling is what didn't happen. There was no loud defense tour, no aggressive rebuttal, no full-throated denial from every corner. Instead, there was careful silence. And silence in the entertainment industry usually means one thing. Everyone is waiting to see who blinks first. Jason Lee and Natalie Nunn's involvement lingers like an unanswered question. They didn't come forward to destroy Chrisean. They didn't drag her publicly. What they did was arguably more damaging. They validated the unease. They confirmed that the discomfort people felt watching certain moments wasn't imagined, that there was context missing. And once that realization sets in, you can't unsee it. The aftermath also forces a reckoning for viewers. Because if what's being implied is true, then audiences weren't just watching chaos, they were participating in it. Clicking, sharing, laughing, debating, all while something heavier was unfolding behind the scenes. And that realization makes the entire spectacle feel less fun and more complicit. But here's the twist. Scandals like this don't end careers overnight, they reshape them. Sometimes they push people toward redemption arcs, sometimes they push them further into isolation, and sometimes they create a strange new version of fame where controversy becomes the only currency left. The question is which path Chrisean will end up on, because there's still leverage here, still attention, still a fan base that's emotionally invested, but the margin for error is gone. The next incident won't be framed as a misunderstanding. It'll be framed as confirmation, and in a culture obsessed with patterns, confirmation is brutal. Meanwhile, the industry watches closely. Not just because of Chrisean, but because this situation exposes a bigger issue. How much chaos is too much? At what point does good TV become a PR nightmare? And who steps in when the spectacle stops being entertaining and starts being ethically questionable? The most unsettling part is that this doesn't feel finished. It feels paused, like a season finale that ends mid-sentence. There are still stories untold, footage unseen, conversations that haven't leaked yet. And as long as those exist, the scandal remains alive, waiting for the next spark, because that's how these situations work. They don't explode once, they echo. Every future move gets interpreted through this lens. Every silence feels loaded. Every appearance gets dissected for signs of instability or control. And the audience, once aware, never goes back to innocent consumption. So where does that leave Chrisean Rock? In a dangerous limbo, still famous, still talked about, but now framed by suspicion instead of sympathy, and in an industry that thrives on narrative. That shift may be the most damaging consequence of all, because once the story changes, everything else follows. And if this behind-the-scenes chaos is truly only partially revealed, then this isn't the end of the saga. It's the moment right before the next headline detonates. Now listen, if your jaw is still on the floor, that's because this story wasn't meant to stay buried. And if you made it this far, congratulations, you officially survived another episode of reality TV chaos that makes scripted drama look lazy. Because let's be real, this wasn't just mess. This was premium, behind the scenes. Somebody's NDA is shaking right now level chaos. So do me a favor and smash that like button like it owes you money. Because these scandals don't investigate themselves. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think this was always inevitable? Or did the industry let it spiral out of control on purpose? No safe answers, no fence sitting. Say it with your chest, because the comment section is where the real fights break out. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? This channel doesn't wait for headlines. We read between them, we catch the pauses, the side eyes, the silence that speaks louder than words. While other channels recap what you already saw, we expose what they didn't want you paying attention to. Hit that subscribe button like you're cutting someone off who brings drama into your life every time they text. Turn on notifications. Because trust me, the next scandal is already loading. It always is. And when it drops, you don't want to hear about it secondhand like it's old news. This isn't just commentary. This is pattern recognition. This is chaos analysis. This is calling out the spectacle before the curtain falls completely. So stay locked in, stay curious, and stay messy, respectfully. Because around here, the drama never retires, the tea never cools off, and the truth always finds